Hi everybody, welcome to a video on cycle frames. Now this is the second video. The first one I did the top coat, the base coat. This is the top coat or lacquer coat. I've got to make an apology, as I did with the last one. The camera was on the wrong white balance setting, but before you all sigh and give up, it does get better, because the second coat, the second full coat of lacquer, I realised that the camera was wrong and I've changed it. So after about 3.5 minutes through this video, you'll see that the quality and the proper colour of the frame comes out. So hopefully all isn't lost, but if you can stick with it, then that's great. So as I said in the previous video, this is a new frame which was an aubergine colour, but it had some corrosion around where the bottle holder goes on the main down tube that goes down from the top to the bottom bracket, that tube there. There was some corrosion underneath it where the bottle holder screws are, so I had to remove that and put some etch primer on it. And then the other video is me the base coating it, and this is the clear coat. So the basic principle of trying to do the clear coat on a cycle frame is you don't want to overdo it. It's not quite the same as a car or some bike panels, things like that, because it's literally some of it's upside down, some of it's on top. You have to be really careful how much you apply, and if you apply too much, it will obviously start to run. Now the temperature today is about 18 degrees, which is about 63, 65 for guys in the States. So it's not particularly warm. It could have done with being about another 4 or 5 or 6 degrees warmer. About 24, so what's that, about 74 Fahrenheit is absolutely ideal really for clear, because it gives you enough time to get it on and to get it flowing, but without, you can lay it on thicker because you can get it flowing and it will start to go off before it runs, because there's always the problem, you know, getting a really good finish without putting too much on, and just experience really tells you that. And you know, it's got a lot to do with obviously the materials you're using, the gun you're using, but also the temperature, because the temperature makes a lot of difference. So we're just applying now. We're applying effectively a relatively light tack coat, a dust coat, just so that it's got the proper top clear coat will have something to adhere to really. So you're just putting this on. You'll see I cut the first part short. This is the second part. Now this is where I realised that the camera was not recording in the proper colours. So this is now the proper colours, and you'll see the frame. Unfortunately the camera's at a slightly different angle, but I think it does get better. But you'll see now that I'm starting to put on a much thicker coat, but still obviously not thick enough that it runs. All cycle frames, a lot of motorcycle parts, things like that, you've got to get in all the nooks and crannies, because you'd be really kicking yourself afterwards if you missed it. So you've got to keep moving the frame around, checking that you've done this, checking that you've done that, so that you are getting a good coat. Now with clear coat, which is different from the base coat, you'll see that I am trying to follow some kind of pattern, in that you're trying to get the clear to flow into each other. So you're putting the clear down in a set method, so you're remembering what you've done, going round the complete tube so that it flows into each other. Because if you leave it, you can't really come back to it, because if you leave it for too long, you know, more than a couple of minutes, sometimes not even that if it's warm, then your new coat will leave it will leave an oversprayed edge which will be dull, and you'll really notice it. So you do have to do it methodically and get the clear to run out into each other. So you want enough on there that it gives it a shiny surface to protect the paint underneath, but not to run, because it's much more difficult to repair the problem on a frame. The technique's exactly the same, but because there's so much in the way and it's so intricate, it just makes it harder. So it really is better to try and do it right in the first place. But I think you'll agree it's a lovely colour. This is one of my frames, so it's going to be for me, and it's my favourite colour, I think, at the moment. So you know, I really like it, and the clear coat brings it out really nice, which I think you'll agree. Now, this final coat is in real time, so when the video quality got better, you know, I know that's arguable, but you know, when the picture quality got better rather than the mumbled content, when that got better, that was when the second coat started. So it's about, I think it's about 4.5 minutes for the whole top coat, the final top coat. So it doesn't actually take too long, and the first, like, pigeon coats, I say pigeon but I don't think it's right, the first small coats that I did on the first lacquer coat, the first top coat, probably took about 5 minutes as well. So that the whole frame, excluding the sort of like half an hour you might give in between to let the first lot of top coat go off, you know, it takes about 10 minutes, 11 minutes. So it's not, you know, it's not a really time consuming thing, but if you do make a mistake, it can add an hour to that time. So you are better off investing in that time to do it as right as possible. I mentioned in the other video that you do need to make sure that you've got some way of holding the frame so that you can move it around, or you've got some way of gaining access to all of it easily, because it's quite critical that you do get everywhere, because as I say, you will notice it otherwise, especially like this is upside down. So when you put the frame up the real way when you're riding your bike, if you can see a bit that's just a bit duller or just wasn't quite done right, it will really haunt you all the time. So you might as well invest the time and get it as right as possible. And the gun I'm using is an SRI Pro Lite with a 0.8 tip, and that puts it on really nice. I use the same gun for the base coat as the top coat, but I think you'll find that I think you'll agree that the frame comes out really nice when you can actually see it. That's better. I'm still getting used to this camera on the head thing, because you put it on your head and you move it to how you think it should be, and sometimes it's just not quite what you thought it was going to. It's not quite capturing what you thought it was going to capture. But of course, once it's done, it's done. It's too late, isn't it? You can't go back and do it again. But there's the finished article anyway. Lovely colour. I didn't want any decals on it. If you did want decals on it, then you put those under the base coat and then lacquer over. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.